intimidating to be here. I'm not. I haven't been an organizer. I don't represent MTI. I'm a rank and file MTI member, and I speak to groups of children all the time. But speaking in front of adults is a whole different ballgame.
We're pretty childish.
Much less smart.
Thank you, and especially coming after so many great folks, so many people representing so many different areas, and talking to you. It's a high bar, but here I am. And I'm here to talk to you. My name's David Fawcett. I'm a proud public school teacher. And I'm proud parent of 2 public school students.
All right.
And I'm here to talk to you about the damage that Scott Walker has done to the educational system of Wisconsin and the damage that he wants to continue to do if his budget passes that he is proposing. He has, as you know, the first blow that he struck against the educational system was to go after teachers' unions, and that was a high-profile move. And part, at least, of why he did it was because it was a high-profile move. He wanted to become a famous union-busting guy, and he wanted to prove to his wealthy donors from all over the country that he was going to do what they wanted. He was going to do what helped them, and he went after the unions. And of course, that has it's been hard. It's been hard for me, and my wages have gone down. My benefits are weaker. He's continuing to go after our union, and he is doing his best to disparage the profession. He's got this proposal now that will do away with teacher certification, that anybody who has a college degree and has relevant experience in an area, whatever that means, can go into a classroom and teach children. And for him to imply that there's no special training, no special expertise in being a teacher is of course insulting, and I'm sure he intends that. I'm sure he's trying to wear us down. I'm here as a union member, but I'm not here to speak for teachers. I'm here to speak for the other big group that's the victim of Walker's attacks on public education, which is students. He has decided that the next step is to attack children, and the way to do that is to take funding away from our public schools. And he's proceeding. He has, in Act 10, 2011, he made cuts that were drastic enough that 73% of Wisconsin school districts had to cut teachers, 74% had to cut other staff, and that wasn't enough. He's keeping on pushing, he's keeping on digging deeper, and when you cut teachers and you cut staff, you're hurting children, and you're especially hurting children who need help, and children who need help the most tend to be children who come from poverty. Education is their ladder, their way to get out of poverty, their way to succeed, and Walker knows that, and his donors know that, and they don't like it. They're at the top, they want to stay at the top, they don't care to have anybody else climbing up with them, and they're putting our public education system down because they don't want that ladder. They don't want those people getting out of their place in society. So there's a student, I'm going to call him Marcus, who is a hardworking kid. He comes to school, he does his best, he pays attention most of the time, really wants to succeed. You can tell that he has been told at home that education is important and that it's going to be his vehicle. He needs to go take advantage of the excellent education that he's offered in our public schools, because that's going to allow him to better his life. He's there, he's paying attention, he's working hard, but he's still having a hard time, he's still struggling. And the reason is because he's moved around so much. He's bounced from school to school, and that's difficult, and the reason that happens is because his mom is having a hard time finding a good paying job, and you can lay that at Walker's feet as well. So she moves to look for a better job, he has to move schools, he has to adjust to a new group of friends, a new teacher, new school, and the way it's done, and of course that's going to be a weak point for him. That's going to distract him from the curriculum, and that's going to make him lose some steps. It's going to make him fall a little bit behind, and each time he falls a little bit behind, that compounds, and he falls more and more behind, and he gets to the point where he is today, where he's trying to catch up, and he just can't do it. He needs help. And I have students like that in my class. He's not the only one. I work to do what I can. I teach a lesson that tries to meet the needs of those kids who are really needing a lot of help, and those kids that are advanced and doing great, try to meet their needs. After I teach the whole class lesson, I meet with small groups. I work with Marcus and a couple kids. I work with another small group of kids. Do my best to catch them up, and it's not enough. I'm only one person. I need help, and when schools were funded sufficiently, there was help. There were other teachers who would come in and work with those groups. There were teachers who had specializations in different areas and could recognize that. We do still have teachers like that. My school has a teacher whose specialty is taking kids who are behind in reading and catching them up where they need to be. She is overworked. There are too many kids and there's only one of her. And if Walker's budget cuts weren't so drastic, we might be talking about getting more teachers, getting more staff in there to help those kids. We can't. All we can do is work the hardest we can to keep the staff we have, and we're lucky if we can do that. As I mentioned, school districts across the state are cutting staff. That's not what we need. We don't need fewer teachers and educational staff. We need more. And Walker's making that impossible. He's cutting our budget, and he's forcing schools to decrease staff. And by doing that, he's hurting children, and he's hurting poor children most drastically of all, because they tend to be the ones who need the extra help to get them caught up. He wants to kill the American dream, and he's being paid good money to do that. And so far, he's succeeding. And
we're not going to let him win. We're not going to let him win.
All right. Yes.
We're not going to let him win. So.